There's an ID buzz. Maybe this is what this car is designed for, to appeal to people that are going to have Zoom meetings. That's a pretty deep cubbyhole. We've come down to Let's Go Electric in Telford today, where they've got a whole bunch of electric vehicles that we can have a go and test drive, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff related to renewables and encouraging people in this area to get into those things. So let's have a look and let's go in and see what's on offer.
That's putting it outside of the car and they're all that.
Should we leave a gap here and have a little stamp on it when we're straightened up? Yeah, that's fairly rapid.
I've had an idea. Let me know in the comments if this fixes it.
Yeah, that's fairly rapid. Back. I know, I'm going to see if we can go out. I want to test drive on the actual road.
One of my main aims to visit this event was to check out a few EVs, more specifically electric vans. As I progress with my electrical studies, I'm going to need a van. My current van is getting a bit tired, and if I plan on working with renewables, an electric van feels like a good fit. But I learned there was a lot more on offer than just vehicles.
Do you want a coffee now? Really? I'll get one in a bit then.
As soon as you walk through the door, you find Maxus. I'd hoped to drive one of their Deliver 3 or 7 vans. Unfortunately, they didn't have any of those on the day. They had one of their pickups, and I didn't really look too closely at the pickup because it's just no good for me. I was really hoping to sit in one of those other vehicles and have a drive around and see how a Chinese van compares to a German van. I wouldn't expect as much, but then for the price of one of these vans, it's a lot cheaper than the price of, say, a Vito, which I looked at next. The Vito is a nice van, and it felt like home because I'm used to a Vito already. I've got to say, all of these salespeople were really nice and none of them were really pushy. Both of them offered for me to make contact and take the vehicle for a weekend to see how I found them. That reminds me, I need to see if we've got anything that we need to pick up from IKEA.
I mean, I wouldn't say this is comfortable for 3.
He says on his own seat.
Well, yeah. It's so quiet.
I'm not a car or van reviewer. Matt Watson from Carwell, don't worry, I'm not coming for your job. If you want to watch a full drive of just 3 lads going for a bumbling drive with me going the wrong way, and the cameraman and a laid-back salesman just having a chat, look out for an upcoming video. What's my takeaway? Well, maybe I'm biased because I already have an old Vito. It felt like home to me. It was refined, although not the fastest. It was smooth and fairly quiet. It is nice to not have a diesel thumping away. I think it should be a decent size for an electrician's van. And with it being very similar to the diesel version, racking and stuff like that shouldn't be an issue. We discussed with the salesman the handy feature of being able to pre-warm your van from the app. Having used this before with another Mercedes, it really is a joy in winter. No scraping the van, you're just ready and you can go. One thing that disappoints me about all the vans I looked at that day was that none of them come with heat pumps like the Teslas do. This means for every kilowatt hour of battery power, you produce a kilowatt hour of heat in the cab. This is one of the reasons why battery range in winter isn't as good. With heat pumps, you can get around 3 to 4 times the energy from the same amount of battery. Mercedes did say that this will be included in future versions of this van, so definitely something to look out for. There was another big elephant in the room that bothered me. I know I'll be saving money on road tax, and if I was in places like London, I'd avoid charges and my fuel bill would be cut down dramatically. But let's pick up with where we were chatting in the van.
It literally, the one thing that holds me back is the cost. It just feels like for what it's a good, you can tell it's a good van, but it just feels like for me, is it a bit much?
Vehicles, it really depends.
on when.
Yeah.
Because all manufacturers have got targets to hit more, obviously apart from Tesla, to sell zero emission vehicles to combustion vehicles. So like all manufacturers, most people still want combustion. But come the end of the year, they need a certain percent of electric vehicles, and if they're below that percentage, they'll either put a hold on you registering diesel vehicles, or they'll throw silly offers and silly money at the electric vehicles so they don't get fined.
Yeah.
So it works out, I think, for every vehicle over, it's about a 16 grand fine.
Oh wow.
So they'd rather just go and take, oh, we'll put 5 grand, 10 grand against these Vitos. We'll save money and we'll register them. Yeah.
Can you guys just give me a call when that happens?
Yeah, we had it on actually running towards October. We ran out at the end of October.
Okay.
But everyone's kind of like, right, we're waiting for it to happen again. It's going to happen again.
Yeah, because you've got those targets to meet.
And there's loads of vehicles, there's loads around. So it's not like there's not the stock to do it, it's just as and when the manufacturer decides to go, I'll tell you what, yeah, we'll run this until the end of the year, we need to sell more of them. It'll be worse.
So that's foot to the floor. Oh, I've done it again.
Yeah, you wanted the next one.
Yeah. Did this with... we came... Yeah.
At least you're familiar with this roundabout, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I really know it well. The brakes are sharp.
I mean, this one has only done about 200 miles, so it's just all with electric vehicles. It's getting used to... Well, the brakes are barely ever used.
Yeah. They're not going to get used that much anyway, with it being an EV.
Yeah. And it all depends on how harsh you can have the regen. So on the VWs, it's not actually that harsh. There's one setting. Mercs, it's 4.
Do you know if when you press the brake pedal, will that do regen anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So it tries to find the balance.
So it's always going to try and...
So it doesn't feel as natural as a diesel might feel.
Yeah.
But because it's finding the balance of using a bit of the regen and using the brakes to get you down. I think if you were to smash your foot on the brakes...
Yeah, it's going to... Yeah, the emergency function would mean that the physical brakes would do their job. I don't necessarily think they should be exactly the same and compare to a petrol or diesel vehicle. Like, they are their own thing. It's like, it should be the next progression, like the car was to a horse. It's like, it's not trying to compete with the same thing, it's actually trying to be the next best thing. So things like being able to preheat your vehicle, those are features you just can't get on a petrol and diesel.
And I can't live without it now.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, the Vito. I'm going to need to try out a few of the different vans, such as the Vivaro, the Maxus 3 and 7, and the Electric Ford Custom before I make a decision. Time for a tea break, I think. Next stop, I checked out the electric bikes. Back in my younger days, I was really into mountain biking, but I've never really had a go on an electric bike before, so I was really keen to have a go. As soon as I got on it, it became immediately clear to me how useful that this could be to somebody who wanted to keep fit and has a job that's fairly close to their home. For someone that chooses to commute to work, this could be the difference between turning up all sweaty and having a fairly effortless ride. Compare the cost of owning one of these bikes at around £1,500 to the cost of running a vehicle to just get you to work and back. They start to look very attractive.
So at this stage, I don't really feel a lot of assist. That's 0, 1. Okay, yeah, so I felt that then. Okay, that makes quite a difference. There's like a slight delay, isn't there? And like after, it kind of carries on for a second after you pedalled, which is kind of a weird thing.
So this one's a rear hook motor.
Yeah.
So with them you do get a very slight delay between the pedals engaging and the motor kicking in.
Yeah.
You can get ones which are mid-crank motors,
yeah,
which are directly off the crank there, and those are virtually instantly. There's no delay on those.
I just had the thought of bunny hopping it and seeing how heavy it is.
Go for it.
The lack of height of that bunny hop was down to the extra weight of the bike.
In my younger days, I'd have been jumping over pallets and things. But I don't know whether you'd be doing that on this. Really does kick in. Oh, now you can feel the weight with that hub motor. But you don't notice it anywhere near like that when you're using it. Cool. Yeah, that has got some weight if you're trying to move it around.
Yeah, they're not light things to move about.
So, what would a bike like that set back?
So these ones are around
1,500.
You can get e-bikes around 800. Just depends what you want and what power you want.
And I guess that batteries are removable and stuff for charging.
Yeah, so
Charging
you can plug it in,
separately.
yeah, it just drops out of here.
Yeah.
You can take them all out and charge them separately.
So yeah, it's saying 540 watt hours. What will that do in terms of assisted miles?
It'll do about 60 miles.
Oh, wow, okay.
On the low setting.
Yeah.
The higher power setting, you go the less miles.
Which you immediately go to, don't you?
Maybe not with one of these
Yeah.
bikes, but I would definitely consider an e-bike in the future. Time for another cup of tea, I think. As we headed back into the main arena, we couldn't help but appreciate the Porsche Taycan. An electric vehicle can be a pretty car. But it wasn't just electric vehicles on offer at this event. This event was helping those that live locally to this area to move their businesses and their personal lives to a greener future, with things such as solar and battery storage, as well as expressing what the local council is doing to do their
We
part.
want to make sure that a whole range of users can switch to EV and be confident that you can charge. Of course, the benefits of switching to electric vehicles aren't just about reducing emissions. It's also an air quality issue, and so that's really important to us as well, that we improve air quality, we improve quality of life for our residents. We've successfully achieved funding from the Office for Zero Emission Vehicles, and we'll be installing 70 EV charge points in 21 car parks across the road to support residential parking.
But I don't think I'll keep you watching for too long if I carry on with that. You want to get on to the far more interesting stuff, pressing the fart button in a Tesla.
That's playing it outside of the car and they're all laughing.
But before we get there, at the event was a case study of a business that's been able to convert its fleet of vans and cars to electric vehicles and prove that it worked for them, so it could work for other businesses too. The DNO was also there to explain how the grid is changing, with all the renewables being intermittent, the electric cars, heat pumps, all this extra use of energy at different times changing what the grid is used to. There's a great need to balance this and manage this. This sort of stuff interests me and is kind of why I got into becoming an electrician as a way in. Before we talk Tesla though, I also had a chat with the local college. They were able to explain to me what they offer to both apprentices and to existing electricians to boost their training.
Fantastic. So to sum up, you are a college, so a lot of people might think, 18-year-olds out or 16-year-olds out of school, but what you offer is a lot more than just that. It's adults as well. It's additional courses which electricians will need in order to allow themselves to get into these renewable markets.
Well, the renewables open in January, so if you wanted to come along and see for yourself and bring your camera around and whatever, you can check out the new facilities that we've got there. I mean, they're up to date, state-of-the-art, up-to-date facilities. So
sounds good. Thank you very much, guys.
If you're looking for training to become an electrician or any other trade, it's worth contacting your local college. If you have a skill already, such as an electrician, and are looking to add additional qualifications and courses on, again, it's worth speaking to your college. It's amazing what they have to offer, and a lot of colleges are recognising that there's additional qualifications which they need to provide training for. We finish up with my first and definitely not only experience of driving a Tesla. I was really surprised to see that these guys had brought along at least 4, 5, maybe 6 vehicles. Definitely the most vehicles of the show. They had the Model Ys and the Model 3s. We got chatting to them, and there was quite a lot of staff there too, to show quite a limited group, because this was quite a small half-day event, some vehicles. Of course, they were offering drives to those that wanted them, and I took that opportunity to have a little drive in a Tesla.
Nothing like having your calendar in your car, hey? Arcade, because you need these things, right? To be fair, Solitech would come in quite handy in a car when you're waiting for people. What else we got? You got all the standard things. You can have a Zoom meeting in here. That'll come in handy, eh? Maybe this is what this car is designed for. It's designed to appeal to people that are going to have Zoom meetings. Karaoke. What actually is the point?
That's playing it outside of the car and they're all laughing.
Sketchpad, Mars. But it's just, I think it's quite good that they make the most, just all the little things that you can do when it's technology. When it's software, you can add all these things and it works.
Tesla were happy for us to record, but kindly asked us to not show them on camera.
I may have said before, like the engineering amazes me as well, and you see people that have taken like Tesla drivetrains and put them in other stuff, because as a package it's just a fantastic drivetrain. The engineering, what's been done by Tesla is, you know, it's quite impressive. Yeah, cameras are pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're really, nice and clear. Didn't work out the autopilot. The sat nav was going off and I couldn't work out how to turn that off, and I just needed to get rid of that menu.
But it's a thing of getting used to be honest with you. But what we offer overnight loans. Just for the customer, just to get a bit more use of it and get used to it as well. Do you know what I mean? Put it in their day-to-day life.
I've just made contact to the Guinness Book of World Records because I don't think there's a world record, and I quite fancy doing it. Okay, so.
Okay. Ooh.
Maybe if you can show people that it's doable.
Yeah, that's actually a very good idea to be honest with you, because that's the thoughts in people's head. Do you know what I mean? So. Cool.
Might have to reach out to Tesla and ask them, can we have a car for a week? And we'll put it in the Guinness Book of Records. We'll see.
Hopefully. Well, I'll be looking out for that content, battery man.
Honestly, I've spoke to a few mates, and I've got some mates that are well up for getting involved, and I'm trying to convince them to do the night shift.
Brilliant idea.
The engineering behind how Tesla put these things together, along with the software, fascinates me. In the meantime, let's go drive a Tesla.
That's some strong regen when you take your foot off. Ready for this? So doing a whole 20 miles an hour, and that's not me pressing the brake. So effectively, you don't need the brake, it's pointless. It's telling me all these cars are next to me, which is quite handy. Steering mode, I've got it in comfort, let's try standard. So that's got a bit tighter. We've got to do a good start, haven't we, and see what it's like. A stamp on it start. There's an ID buzz. I like them, they're just a lot of money.
It's next to a diesel.
Well, that really is one pedal driving. It wants to stop itself. Yeah, that's fairly rapid.
I've had an idea. Let me know in the comments if this fixes it.
Yeah, that's fairly rapid. As a non-Tesla owner, it can seem a little bit distracting, that screen at the minute, because I can't see. Maybe cameraman Andy can help me work out from there where on earth you turn the heating down.
5 minutes later.
Oh, at the bottom it says 22.
Yeah. One thing that really stands out to me in here is, I know this tarmac's really smooth, but it is very quiet in here. It's just smooth as can be. When I indicated then and pulled over, it gave me a little camera to presumably check my blind spot. So I've always been the other side of the Tesla, as in the car next to it, trying to compete with it. I used to have a Audi S5, and I once was at the lights with a Tesla, and obviously to the 70 mile an hour of the dual carriageway, we both went off the lights, and it was going pretty well for a while, and then, yep, the Model 3 wiped the floor with me there. Not familiar enough with this vehicle to turn the sat-nav off. In terms of comfort, it feels just as comfortable as anything else I've driven. I wonder if it's on air suspension. But the one thing that does stand out is it's so quiet in here. in a good way, and that's one of the biggest advantages about electric vehicles in my mind. They are just nice and quiet. No thumping diesel engine when you're sat at the lights. Obviously, just for many people, it's the cost, isn't it? It's pretty cool that this screen is telling me what's around me. So apparently this has full self-driving mode, but I'm not familiar enough with it to work out how to get that going, and I'm not going to attempt it. If you wanted a good car, a good family car, and you wanted to get an electric car, then this just ticks the boxes. It just does everything. It does everything. It's okay. It's got its unique style. It's quite plain inside. Did you feel that slip? Don't think I've really pressed the brake. In the entire journey, I'm pretty sure I've not really pressed the brake. I've not had a need to, because it's just doing that one pedal braking. Cameraman, does the steering respond quickly? Did we come down this road before? It's got plenty of pickup, hasn't it?
I don't want to come across as a Tesla fanboy, but just think about it for a minute. These guys really started this off. Before Tesla, there was maybe one or two that were doing a little bit, or they were using old battery tech, but Tesla has managed to build battery packs that were far more advanced than others, which they've been able to mass produce, and then every other manufacturer has been forced to kind of keep up and follow along. And it really has pushed this industry forward. What's my takeaway from this event? It looks like most councils, Telford and Wrekin are doing something about the need to move to both electric vehicles and other sources of electricity. But what became really clear was how many different options there are, how many different vehicles there are now that are electric vehicles. There's some that I wasn't even able to look at, such as Volvo or BMW. I'm really disappointed about not being able to drive that i5. Maybe I'll own one of those in 10 years time, and then I'll get my chance to drive it. Just think, a few years back, your only option was one of these. It had 45 miles of range, I guess. It had lead acid batteries, and it had you as the crumple zone. Whereas now, you're spoiled for choice. There's so many different options for electric vehicles. They've become far more reliable. They can do ranges, which realistically now is enough for most people. At least having one as a second car for now seems like a good option. We also looked at options for people to get into this renewable sector. There's a lot of additional work that needs to be done, and we need people that can do it. It also became clear to me that the national grid, that the electricity operators know what they're doing and are ready for this expanding market. With case study businesses, it proved that it's possible for businesses to do this right now. I've considered this in the future myself. Does promoting myself as a more eco business help me? Will it provide me with more customers, or at least the customers I'm after, the sort of customers that are going to be wanting me to fit renewables? Coming on to renewables, it's so easy now to have renewables at home. If you own your roof, and sometimes even if you don't own it, you can have solar panels put onto them. Then there's battery storage. This is now attainable for people. Battery technology has allowed storage to become possible, and it allows homeowners and businesses to get cheap electricity at cheap times. There's so many different choices and options. Just looking at electric vehicle chargers, there's so many different options. Which do you go for? There's so many different electric vehicles. Which do you go for? Which one's going to have a battery pack that lasts? Which one is using chemistries that don't require precious metals? There's so many factors that help to make these decisions. I would encourage anybody that hasn't tried an electric vehicle, whether it be a car or van, whatever their need is, to just borrow one for a couple of days. Most dealerships want you to buy these vehicles, so we'll let you have them for a couple of days. A long weekend gives you an opportunity to see how you can use it. Just remember though, that if you're going to borrow an electric vehicle for the weekend and you don't have a home charger, your experience won't be what it would be. If you have a home charger at home, you just plug it in and then in the morning it's charged. It would be charged on cheap electric. If you're borrowing it for the weekend, you might end up using the extensive network of highway chargers. In my view, I wouldn't be tempted to switch if I was just relying on those. Or you might be plugging into a slow granny charging cable. Yeah, this is going to take a while. What you would need is a proper home charger. And with one of those, the process is just so easy. The same as plugging your phone in at night. So, have a go with an electric vehicle. Maybe consider solar or battery storage. And over time, you'll be able to save money on this, while also being eco-friendly. Maybe you're like me and you enjoy technology and engineering. These advancements are so fast and continuous, and it just keeps it exciting, doesn't it? Looking back to that G-Whiz from say 15 years ago, I wonder what we'll have in 15 years time. Will the general public be more accepting of electric vehicles then? Will we have something better? Or will we decide that everyone ferreting around in cars wasn't a good idea in the first place? Okay, I don't see that one happening. Until next time, Battery Man out. Hey, if you've made it this far, just to prove I'm a petrol head too, let me know in the comments what you think the car was that was playing the exhaust noise during the Tesla video.